Hi, Will. This is Two Stars Mommy. I'm here on YouTube right now because I have a story to tell. This is a documentary of my life, and it's a somewhat unique story. It's about my life. If you sit down and listen to most people, everyone has a story to tell. But for some reason, I'm inclined to tell my story, and I want the world to hear it. Um, it's a rather long story, so I'm only going to come at you maybe 2 or 3 minutes a day or however I feel like doing it. I might do two or three in a night, but I want to get it all out there. And I want opinions. I want the negative feedback. I want the positive feedback. But I'm at a point right now in my life where I want to hear feedback because I'm going through something right now. And I want unbiased opinions about this whole situation. So here's where it all begins. I was born to two 17-year-old parents. My mother and my father both love me very much. But for whatever reason, their relationship didn't last. Like some people, not all, my parents argued and fought amongst each other. Sometimes my mother having to fight with my father's family, his sister-in-law, brother, and mother. There was an incident where my mother and father got into some type of altercation shortly after I was born, and she then had gone back to my grandparents' house. But my father had came over, and I don't know what transpired between the two of them, but my mother ended up throwing a pot of boiling hot water on my father, giving him second-degree burns on his upper left side of his body. Um, that's just one of the many stories I was told about the violence between my mother and father. Then there was one last fight of many. I don't know what it was. There are a lot of stories that, I don't know what happened between them. I just know that they used to fight. My parents separated this time. My mother, she then packed our things, mine and hers, and we moved to Valdosta, Georgia with my great-grandmother. At that time, I was 3 years old. I don't remember much, but I do remember my mother smoking out of those, white papers. Now I know what they are, but back then I just knew them as white papers. I remember various things about my mother. I mean, I don't know if y'all remember the Casey dolls, the robots that you put the tapes in and listen to them. I remember her bringing me home one of those. I remember, just little things about my mom. Me sitting at home in the projects of Georgia, eating Rainbow Bright cereal. So anyway, I remember the last individual my mother had gotten involved with, them fighting, arguing. It seemed like the pattern just, kept going. And me even waking up to hearing loud noises in the same room in which I slept. I now know that there were gunshots. My mother had shot this dude. He didn't die, but he held a grudge against my mother. And now that I think of it, I say this because, they got into one last fight. I don't know if I was there or not. I was told I was there. But they had gotten into one last fight. Um, they didn't separate too long after she shot him. But, they continued to fight and argue. But like I said before, they had got into one last fight. And he shot and killed my mother approximately about a month and a half before my fourth birthday. My mother was raised by my grandmother and by my grandfather, which was her stepfather, who took great care of me and went on to raise me to this very day. So, like I said, this very day, they're still raising me. Now, well, that's just part one of Two Stars Mommy documentary. I'll remain undisclosed. And I'm saying I'm doing this for a reason. And like I said, I want to get my story out there to the world. And I want opinions because I know everybody is so opinionated about things. And I want the negative feedback. I want the positive feedback. I want it all. So stay tuned. I have more to come, maybe tonight.